So next month it'll be 9 years since this world was originally created. That also means that it's been 9 years since I personally started playing Minecraft. So I thought I'd commemorate the occasion by taking you on a little tour of my first build. First thing ever built in the old world, the tower. The tower was actually inspired by Dragon Ball Z. More specifically, Kami's Lookout from Dragon Ball Z. If you're unfamiliar, Kami was the guardian of the Earth. What I thought at the time was that I'd be able to look out and see what everyone was building all throughout the world. That was the initial idea. On to the tour. When you approach the base of the tower, you'll notice that the positioning of the doors is kind of weird. This was caused by one of the updates over the years. I can't remember specifically which one, but the doors used to connect to these glass blocks right here. They don't really serve a purpose anymore because you can just squeeze right past them. But I leave them as is because it's part of Minecraft history as far as I'm concerned. Now this is probably my favorite thing about the build because it'll show you exactly how new I was to the game. The core of the tower itself is a giant dirt stack. If that doesn't scream new to Minecraft, I don't know what does. I should mention that I didn't build this thing alone. I had help from Bagheera King, who was the player that actually started this world with me. I worked on the tower itself while Bagheera King supplied the resources from the Ariano mine. He'd basically fill a chest down here, I'd come down and collect them, head back up, rinse and repeat. Keep in mind that this was my first time playing outside of the demo, so I had no idea that crouching would prevent you from falling, so there was a lot of this. I called this first floor the lobby because I couldn't think of anything better for it. The only thing that really makes it a lobby is this sign that tells you what's on each floor. Otherwise, there's really not much to be said about it. The second floor, otherwise known as the observation deck, was where you would go to get a full view of the surrounding builds, at least in theory. In 2012, it probably looked more like this. Fortunately, times have changed. It's pretty insane when you stop and think about just how much the scenery outside of these windows has evolved over the years. You have builds from 2012 to just this past year. Some of it as recent as last month. Crazy stuff. The third floor is what I called the living area. I just like to call attention to how claustrophobic this is with its 2-block height. When you first come up the stairs to the left here, you'll find the crafting room. Nice and simple, probably way bigger than it needs to be. Then across from that is the guest bedroom for when new players were just starting out, they would have a place to stay right here. Down this hallway and to the left, I have my armor and weapons room. Then over here is the material storage room, which was for all that extra crap you'd collect while mining. There's actually still some random stuff in here right now. Then you come back around this hallway and you'll find the master bedroom, which actually served as my spawn point for a few years. In fact, I used to log out right here whenever I was done playing. Now this is something I remember thinking I was really clever for back in the day. Behind this wall is a secret room that I called the Chamber of Secrets, and that's not a Harry Potter reference. This is where I kept my actual inventory, which is kind of funny looking back now when everyone that played in the world were people that I knew, and I was still hiding my stuff. I think we're just naturally drawn to do that in Minecraft. It doesn't matter who we're playing with. Let me know if you feel the same way. Then finally, the top floor is the garden. This part over here was for sugarcane. This, I believe, was for wheat, but I'm not sure. And this is where I would grow trees. Over here was my tool shed, and one thing I'd like to note is that the roof of the tool shed actually represents what max height was at the time. So back then, we couldn't actually build any higher than right there. And that's pretty much it for this little tour of the tower. It was built in a single night over the course of 11 hours. I could probably build this in 15 minutes now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Maybe you learned a little something you didn't already know about the old world. You can find more information about this build on the wiki. See you in the realm.